Like, make sure you're making money, not just volunteering.
Okay, it's setting it up right now, and it's about to connect any second now. Good afternoon, everyone. Robin, I'll leave the plane to you.
Yes. Okay. So hello, everyone. Hello, everybody that are we have our wonderful Black Women Lawyers Board. We have our membership. We have the wonderful and fabulous attorney Benjamin Crump with us here today. This is June 28th. And Ben, you know, we have you have been a past NBA member and president, and we we actually are in the process. We have a number of us have joined the NBA, and we have our affiliate chapter in the works. Chandrika Simmons, who is on with us. Chandrika, if you want to wave your hand, she's our treasurer and our past Black Women Lawyers president. So she's been actively working to recruit amongst our members to get more NBA members. And then we have Rita White is our president. Rita, if you could raise your hand so Ben can see you on there. And then I'm the vice president for Black Women Lawyers of Michigan. We have Delisha Coleman, if you could raise your hand. She's a parliamentarian. We've got Esther Harris. Yes, we have Esther as our secretary, corresponding secretary, and Stephanie, raise your hand, Stephanie, recording secretary. And of course, we have our region director, Kim Ward. Kim, okay, so I know we've got a lot of folks on here, but we wanted to have you come on because we've had a number of folks of our membership like wanting to know about like what you've been doing and how we can be involved either directly or indirectly with helping with the cause. And I'm going to turn it over to Rita, who's going to briefly go over your bio, and then we're going to get started with the questions. I know we only have you for a little bit of time for today. We may want to try to set up another time to have you come back. I also have a political coffee show. We probably want to see if we can have you come back and answer some questions.
Okay.
Yes, regarding Mr. Attorney Ben Crump, through a steadfast dedication to justice and service, renowned civil rights and personal injury attorney, Benjamin Crump has established himself as one of the nation's foremost lawyers and advocates for social justice. He has successfully battled to protect constitutional rights at the local and state and federal levels, using his advocacy skills and the high profile of the cases to provide the voice to those long silenced and hope to those pushed to the outside. He is the founder and principal owner of Ben Crump Law. Attorney Crump's tireless advocacy has led to legislation preventing excessive force and developing implicit bias training and policies. He has been nationally recognized as the 2014 NNPA, which is the Newsmaker of the Year, the National Trials Lawyer Top Lawyer 100 Lawyers, and Ebony Magazine Power 100 Most 100 Influential African American Attorneys. In 2006, he was designated as an honorary fellow by the University of Pennsylvania College of Law. Now, Attorney Crump has represented clients in some of the most high-profile cases in the United States. His work has involved cases involving Trayvon Martin, who was killed by a neighborhood watch volunteer in Sanford, Florida in 2012. He also was involved in the case involving Michael Brown, who was killed by a law enforcement officer in Ferguson, Missouri in 2014. Danny Ray Thomas, who was killed by a law enforcement officer in Houston, Texas in 2018. Stephen Clark, who was killed by a police officer in Holksaw, Oklahoma, who was killed by a police officer, in Sacramento, California in 2018. Attorney Crump represented 9 of the 13 Black women who were victims in the Holksaw, Oklahoma City police rape case in 2015 and worked out the precedent-setting U.S. Supreme Court case involving excessive police force against Robbie Tolan in 2008. Most recently, Attorney Crump began representing residents in Flint, Michigan, who were affected by the poisoned water of the Flint River. Attorney Crump has also served in leadership positions at the highest levels of the legal profession and has been recognized for his efforts by numerous esteemed organizations. He served as the 73rd president of the National Bar Association and is the current president of the National Civil Rights Trial Lawyers Association. He was the first African American to chair the Florida State University College of Law Board of Directors and currently serves on the Innocence Project Board of Directors. He was bestowed the NAACP Thurgood Marshall Award, the SCLC Martin Luther King Servant Leadership Award, the American Association for Justice Johnny Cochran Award, and the Alpha Kappa Alpha Eleanor Roosevelt Medallion for Service. In 2016, he was designated as an honorary fellow by University of Pennsylvania College of Law and has been nationally recognized as the 2014 NNPA Newsmaker of the Year, the National Trial Lawyers Top 100 Lawyer, and Ebony Magazine Power 100 Most Influential African Americans. Also in June 2018, he was appointed to the National Black Justice Coalition, the NBJC Board of Directors. Now, just briefly, Attorney Crump is also the executive producer of the groundbreaking documentary Women in Motion about Nichelle Nichols and the race to space. Nichols was among the first African-American actresses on TV and played Lieutenant Uhura in Star Trek, the original series. He also hosted the critically acclaimed legal docudramas such as Evidence of Innocence on TV One and Who Killed Tupac Shakur, The Search for Justice on A&E. He was also seen on Fox's You the Jury. Attorney Crump portrays legendary civil rights attorney Z. Alexander Luby in the award-winning Hollywood film production Marshall, and has appeared in the documentary Beating Justice, the story of Martin Lee Anderson case, and BET's I Am Trayvon. He is the founder and director of the Benjamin Crump Social Justice Institute and hosts its annual Contemporary Issues and Civil Rights Symposium, where national thought leaders gather at Tennessee State University. He is also a frequent contributor to the Huffington Post, Black Voices, CNN, and USA Today. Now, Attorney Crump's book, published this past October 2019, Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Colored People, reflects on the landmark cases he has battled and how discrimination in the courthouse devastates real families and communities. With myriad of successes on the national stage, Attorney Crump has still made his community priority to helping ensure quality legal representation and access to the courts for poor people in the hometown, formerly serving as board chairman and legal services of North Florida. And with his former law partner, Daryl Parks, he donating $1 million to the organization Capital Campaign. Attorney Crump was born in 1969 in Lumberton, North Carolina. He graduated from Florida State University, I wish it was Michigan, and received his law degree from FSU College of Law. He is married to Dr. Janae Angelique Crump. And with that, I will pass the floor back to Robin.
Yes, so Ben, we have you here. How are you doing? How's your family doing?
I'm doing well, Robin. Thank you so much for having me. To President White, I was trying to cut. I apologize they didn't send you the short bio. Judge Denise could have told you the things that probably were pertinent in 1 minute. And Robin, I just am so honored to talk with the sisters who are often the ones who are on the cusp of making sure the courtroom and society understands what's happening in our Black families. So I cannot thank you enough for the opportunity to greet you all. I see our regional director, Kimberly Ward. Thank you for your leadership with the National Bar Association. And on behalf of our president, Alfreda Robertson, I bring greetings from the largest association of lawyers and judges of color in the world, representing our constituencies, our communities, and our causes, like that of George Floyd, like that of Breonna Taylor, like that of Ahmaud Arbery, and so many countless other unknown hashtags that affect our community and our people every day. So with that, Robin, I am doing well. I'm working on Sunday, which is, unfortunately, they keep killing Black people, so it requires us to keep working.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to turn it over to, I know, Kim, you have a question, so we're going to just ask you questions. I know you've got limited time. We've got you here today. As I said, we'll probably want to have you come back. I know we have some of us that are interested in being more involved directly with civil rights cases, and then some indirectly. So, Kim, if you want to go ahead and get it started.
And we need you all, Robin. God knows we need as much help as we can get.
Right.
Thank you so much, Attorney Crump, for joining us today. We are so pleased to have you. We know your time is very valuable, and we appreciate your spending this time with us. I did want to mention one thing that I don't think was said, is that you're also a member of the newly created task force that the NBA established immediately following the killing of George Floyd. That's the NBA Police and Misconduct Task Force. And the purpose of that task force is really to investigate police misconduct cases, support victims, lawyers, our community, our coalition partners, and also to develop recommendations for structural and institutional change. Can you share with us what the task force is doing and what you hope to accomplish?
Certainly, Representative Ward. I just had the opportunity to testify before the United States House of Representatives, along with Philonise Floyd, the brother of George Floyd. And I believe our testimony there is consistent with what we hope to accomplish with the National Bar Association Task Force on Policing. I know the Congressional Black Caucus led the efforts to pass the George Floyd Justice and Policing Accountability Act, which hopefully we can get some form equivalent from the United States Senate, and then have the person in the White House sign the bill. What I said at that hearing was, if we don't take advantage of this moment in the aftermath of the killing of George Floyd, who had that police officer have his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, Robin, while he said, "I can't breathe" 16 times, Judge, he narrated his own documentary of his own death. He said, you know, "I can't feel my insides. I can't feel my legs." He said, "I'm through." And then finally, Madam President, he asked for his mama, even though his mother had been dead for 2 years. And so once you see that video, you can't unsee it. And that's why we have people marching in cities all across America and all across the world. I mean, we're getting calls from Paris, France, from Berlin, Germany, from London, England, from Australia, from Toronto. I mean, people are marching saying, you know, until we get justice for George Floyd, none of us can breathe. And so we articulated that to the House Judiciary Committee at the United States Congress, but said, if we don't take advantage of this opportunity to change the culture and the behavior of policing in America, then I predict within 30 days, we would have another Black person killed by the police unnecessarily, unjustifiably, and senselessly. And another city would be on fire. And Robin, that was on a Wednesday. It didn't take 30 days for my prediction to come true. It took 2 days, because on that Friday night, Rayshard Brooks was shot and killed in Atlanta, Georgia, that was captured on video cell phone. And so It is an urgent, desperate thing we have to do. We have to use everything in our power to organize, galvanize, and strategize to make sure we get systematic reform for policing. And I don't think it's enough just to say we're going to ban the chokehold, which killed George Floyd. And since that time, our law firm has been retained by 3 more families with people being choked by the police for longer than George Floyd. I mean, it's unbelievable. But I don't think banning the chokehold is enough, even though the Congressional Black Caucus and the Democrats have done that in their bill. The Republicans, Kim, are only incentivizing that the police don't do it, whatever that means.
Right.
And then with Breonna Taylor, I don't think Breonna Taylor's law is enough. In Louisville, Kentucky, we achieved a great milestone. We were able to have them abolish these no-knock warrants, these dangerous, unconstitutional, I believe, unnecessary no-knock warrants that are in violation of our Fourth Amendment rights against illegal and unlawful search and seizures of our home. Not talking about cars. Now, I mean, these no-knock warrants violate your most sacred place, your most protected place, your home. And we'll talk about Breonna Taylor a little later. But Kim, what the point I'm making, I don't think that is enough, that we will ban no-knock warrants. And then as it relates to body camera video, I believe part of the solution is we must have federal legislation of obstruction of justice if a police officer brutalizes or worse, kills somebody and they don't have their body camera initiated. Now, we want them to have due process, so we're not saying everything is an absolute, but there should be a rebuttable presumption that you obstructed justice because you didn't have that body camera on and another Black person got killed. And then finally, what the task force got to do, and this is the big one, y'all. Robin, you know it very well. Qualified immunity.
Right.
Qualified immunity. Judge Langford Morris, you know, that is what the police use to escape any kind of accountability over and over and over again, because qualified immunity says that police are assumed, we are going to presume that whatever they did, they were doing it legally. So you remember, the police have a right to use necessary force up and until deadly force. And so the presumption is when the police shot or killed somebody or did anything, choked them, whatever, that they were presumed to be doing it legally. And so the burden is then on the citizen to prove that one of our constitutional rights were violated. And the judges, probably, I dare say 90, 95% of the time, literally say, if the police say the 3 magic words, Kim, that the United States Supreme Court gave them an instruction how to kill people, especially Black people, and President White get a get out of jail free card. All they have to do is say, I felt threatened. That's pretty much it. I felt in fear of my life, no matter how ridiculous it is.
Right.
Those are the 3 words they have to say, and 90 to 95% of the judges just rubber stamp it. Qualified immunity, case dismissed. And that is our battle. There should be, we believe, an objective test to say that if you have everybody getting immunity, then it's not qualified. It's not limited. And yet, every police officer is getting qualified immunity in the civil suits. And y'all know what's happening in the criminal cases. The district attorneys, even though they can find, like in our communities, 99 .9999999 to infinity. Every time they want to prosecute a little black boy or girl, brown boy or girl, they can get a true bill from the grand jury. But when it comes to a police officer being indicted for killing us, it's almost like it's the reverse of that. It's probably 0.001% of the time that police officers are actually charged with a crime for killing Black people.
Right.
And so that is our struggle. The task force is working in concert with the Congressional Black Caucus and the great leadership of Kim Ward and Alfreda Robinson and others to make sure that we use our voice to try to influence those folks in the Senate. And I've talked to Leader Schumer and others to say that we get a bill that is not watered down. We know there has to be some compromise, but if it's watered down, then it's tantamount to no bill at all. And we'll continue to see another city on fire, Robin, from protesters where they killed another unarmed Black person.
Okay, so Chandrika, do you have a question?
Yes, how you doing today, Attorney Crump? This is
Chandrika
Simmons, immediate past president and current treasurer. I'm also a civil rights attorney here in Michigan. And I just want to know, I know what motivated me to get started in civil rights litigation. Can you tell us what motivated you to get started in civil rights litigation?
Yes, ma'am. I guess it's well documented these days. When I was in the 4th grade, I grew up with a single mother who raised me and my 2 little brothers in the projects in Lumberton, North Carolina, little redneck, rural country area. And my mother, God bless Black women. You know, it's a miracle how Black women never ever offer excuses. They just figure it out. And that was my mama. My mama worked 2 jobs, doing hotel laundry, as well as working at the Converse shoe factory. And I just remember my mother always indoctrinating in my mind that, baby, life ain't fair. She said, life is hard. You make it fair by what you bring to the table. And if you don't bring anything to the table, don't expect anybody to let you sit down at the table. And she would always indoctrinate that in my mind. And she talked about education being something to bring to the table, Attorney Simmons. And she said, because once you got education, nobody can take it away from you. And I remember my uncle saying stuff like, an educated mind would never be enslaved. And so it's those things. And so when in the 4th grade, they bused us across the tracks to go to school with the white children. And I just saw all the technology, the new books and the new facilities that the white children had. It was just blew me away. And I remember one day, me and my little friends were standing in the back of the line, waiting to get our free lunch because it was based on your parents' income. I may be dating myself, but you know, a lot of little white children could afford to get their own, they paid for their lunch, the a la carte. And it was kind of deep. I digress to say this. Racism truly is a learned experience. It is not natural. When us little Black children went to that school, for all the little white children we had never met before in our lives, something incredible started happening. We all started becoming friends with each other, playing together, doing that kind of stuff. It wasn't until lunchtime when we became segregated again, because all the white children to go get the cheeseburgers and French fries and milkshake, what little kids want. And we all had to get free lunch because our mama and daddy couldn't give us no money. And we stand in that long line and get whatever was of nutritional value that the superintendent of schools thought. And we were happy, Attorney Simmons, because we were hungry. We were happy to be getting anything, but you know, you look with lust in your eyes at the children getting the pizza and everything. But that one particular day, we were in the back of the line, and I just remember being very hungry that day. Kevin Cooper, Charlie Floyd, my little child friends, we were standing back there. And then my one of our friends who lived in the projects with us, a girl named Keena Ann, and she came over with this little white girl, and they came, and I was thinking, man, shoot, they want to skip us. I don't want to let nobody skip because we're hungry. But they didn't want to skip us. They just came to talk. And in fact, the little white girl said, no, I'm going to buy Keena lunch with my allowance. And she took out $100 bill. Now we're 9 and 10 years old in 1979. And I just remember thinking, this can't be that little white girl money. It can't, because my mom worked 2 jobs, and it would take almost a week for my mom to get $100 working 2 jobs with minimum wage, probably back at that time being about $1.50 to $2, I'm guessing, something ridiculous like that. And when we questioned the little girl on it, she said, well, no, it's my money. I can do anything I want with it. And then to prove it to us, Kim, she said, and I'll buy y'all lunch too. And she did. And I remember going home that day on the school bus, Robin, thinking to myself, why is it that people on one side of town got it so good, and people on my side of town seem to have it so hard? And I remember my mother told me the reason we got to go to the fancy new school in the white community with the new books and the new technology was because of Brown versus Board of Education and Thurgood Marshall. And so I decided right then, Attorney Simmons, I said, I'm gonna be like Thurgood Marshall and try to help people who look like me and live in my community. And from that day to this one, that's what I've been fighting to do. And that's how I became a civil rights lawyer.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's an amazing story. I know you recounted it. I can't express it enough. In your book, you talked about that. I taught the class, and we read. This is a must read for those of you who don't have Ben's book. This is a good book. It's good for middle school, high school, college, grad school, everybody.
I love you, Robin. You're too kind.
Yeah. So I think we have Esther Harris, one of our secretaries, has another question for you, Ben.
Okay.
Yes, hi. So I am Esther Harris, and I'm one of the secretaries of Black Women Lawyers Association of Michigan. And I know you've been a past president of the National Bar Association. What would you say are the benefits of membership with the National Bar Association?
Oh man, you know, the best thing about being a member of the National Bar Association is the camaraderie. The fact that you are now connected to Black lawyers who share, many times, as Judge Denise can attest, your life experiences. Share those things that, if you're at a majority firm, the things that you often experience that you can't talk to your white colleagues about. If you're in a small or solo practitioner, you have Black lawyers who are small firm solo practitioners in every city in the United States that you can now interact with. If you are dealing with cases in different cities, then you can attach to somebody locally there so you don't get what we call hometown. I mean, it's just a great opportunity to network with people who have a lot of common life experiences as you. And it also gives you a lot of opportunities to rise in your career objectives. I know the commercial law section, their conference, if you're doing stuff in corporate America, when you go to that conference, you have corporations there waiting to try to hire you on the spot. If you some young lawyer and you're trying to get experience, trying to get mentorship, you have judges and lawyers, some of the most renowned ones. You know, I met Thurgood Marshall at the Supreme Court when I went up with the class, but the only other time I saw him in my life was at an NBA meeting and so forth. And that's what the National Bar, it brings all the lawyers and judges together all across America. Met Johnny Cochran for the first time at a National Bar Association meeting. And so, you know, all our heroes and sheroes are there coming to rub elbows with their brothers. And I say this, and Judge Denise, you probably know this better than me, and I know I got about 20 more minutes, but I think it's important to know when I saw Thurgood Marshall, and I wasn't even a lawyer yet, I was in law school. Willie Gary brought Daryl and I to the National Bar Association meeting while we were like in our first year of law school. And it was deep because you saw Justice Marshall and he seemed so happy to be with Black lawyers and judges, to be with his own people. You can imagine how it must be when you're the only one in the room every day at your job. And then you get to come and be with your brothers and sisters, and you can talk freely and y'all can share ideas and you don't have to bite your tongue and all that stuff. I just thought he looked completely happy when he was at the National Bar Association meeting. And I see a lot of other Black lawyers, when they get there, they just seem happy that finally we can exhale, we can take a breath, and we can talk about opportunities, how we can make money together, how we can fight for our community together, how you can help advise me with experts, different things like that. And so that's the benefit of the National Bar. I think there are a lot of other formal things, but it really just allows us to connect with one another. And I ain't even gonna lie to you, if you've never been to a National Bar Association convention, there's gonna be a lot of seminars, a lot of workshops that's gonna give you good information, but you probably gonna make your greatest relations and get most of the information in the evening when everybody's sitting around the bar, just hanging out.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I remember I saw Johnny Cochran. Well, I mean, every year I see you and Lee and Chris, and I'm like Daryl, and I'm like, man, we got to get. That's why I come back here to Michigan, and I'm like, we got to recruit more of us Black attorneys, the male attorneys and females. We got to increase. This is like a race, and we got to pass the baton and everything. So we have a question from Stephanie White, our secretary. So go ahead, Stephanie.
Hi, Attorney Crump. I know you briefly talked about George Floyd at the beginning. Can you give us an update on his case?
Certainly. I'll give you an update on his case and Brown's case if I could. Okay. And I'll throw them out there just for short order. Met with Attorney General Keith Ellison, the family and I last week. Keith, as you all know, is the first African-American Attorney General for the state of Minnesota, was in the United States Congress, has a great track record, has been a champion, Stephanie, for civil rights. And so we cannot think of a better prosecutor than Keith Ellison for the George Floyd case. He told the family judge that they're still investigating. And if the evidence is there to sustain an upward departure to charge first-degree murder, that they will do it. Right now, they feel confident that they can get the conviction for second-degree murder and the lesser included. Because everybody, Stephanie, keeps asking me, well, aren't you afraid you might want to, you overshoot, you ask for first, and then there's not evidence to sustain it? I just look at them and I say, y'all act like we new to this, like we new to the court system. Y'all know Black people get charged with the highest thing you can charge them, and then they put all the lesser included in there. But now when it's the police officer, they say, no, you can't charge first degree because you might not get no conviction. Well, no, you can charge them with first degree, second degree, third degree, manslaughter, aggravated assault. Why is it only Black people get charged with all this stuff, but we don't think we can charge white people when they kill us just like they do with us, equal justice? And so we expressed that his family has always been on record. They want first degree murder. They think that was torture, what they did to George Floyd. And I agree with them. They tortured him for not 1 minute, not 2 minutes, not 3 minutes, not 4 minutes, not 5 minutes, not 6 minutes, not 7 minutes, not 8 minutes, but almost 9 minutes. Can you imagine 9 minutes struggling for air? And the people who are supposed to be there to protect and serve you, the people who are supposed to be the first responders, the people who are supposed to save life, the people who are supposed to be trained in de-escalation, none of them offer you any humanity, respect, or dignity. And none of them allegedly are aware they're killing you. But Robin, it's the lay people that are saying, y'all gonna kill him. President White, it's the regular little black boys and the 17-year-old high school student who films on her cell phone. They're the people saying you're gonna kill him. And so it is absolutely our expectation that those officers will be convicted. I think they're gonna all start singing on each other. So that's a real possibility. I know that Keith Ellison informed the family that they got a continuance. The trial was set for September of this year. Now it's been moved to March 8th, 2021.
Okay.
If you all are free, I'm sure the courtroom may be packed, but love to have y'all come over during the trial. And then on September the 11th, 9/11 of this year, they're going to have their big motion calendar where they're going to be filing their motions to dismiss charges and cases and often whatever they're going to try to, I guess, tell on each other and everything. That'll be September 9th, 2011. So that's on George Floyd, on Breonna and Ahmaud Arbery. I know they've been charged. The grand jury came back, and like we were saying about you can charge people for all the lesser included, they charged the murderous father and son duo who lynched Ahmaud Arbery for jogging while black in broad daylight that was captured on video. They charged them with 9 felonies. Each one of them, the murderous father and son duo and the rowdy guy who was videotaping them, who I believe was part of the lynch mob.
Right.
And so all of them have been charged, but yet our sister Breonna Taylor, nobody has been charged in her case, nor, and I'm begging y'all to do this for me, Black women of Michigan, I'm begging you all, nor has Pamela Turner.
Right, I know you've been saying it, right.
Brought against her. Can y'all tell everybody I know to go watch that video of Pamela Turner and see how she was executed by the police while she was laying on her back, and that coward shot 5 times while he was on his feet, and yet the Democratic elected District Attorney Kim Ogg, over a year and a month now, still has not charged these officers. And that's why I keep saying we got to fight for Black women, because they often don't get the recognition or the attention that Black brothers do. We have to keep saying their name over and over again, start campaigns. I mean, to let people know, to say justice for Pamela Turner. I think everybody knows Breonna Taylor's name. I think the pressure is going to be there. But Pamela Turner down in Houston, Texas, they're just trying to sweep it under the rug. So if there's a way y'all wanted to help and do something with us, Pamela Turner needs it. I mean, nobody's saying her name, and she had mental health issues and so forth, and they're trying to marginalize her and disenfranchise her. And it's like Malcolm X said, the most, disrespected person in America is the Black woman. The most unprotected person in America is the Black woman, and the most neglected person in America is the Black woman. We got to make sure that they can't continue to marginalize and neglect and not protect and disrespect Black women. Because if we don't protect our women and our sisters, then nobody else is going to do it for us. And I'll say this segue and then I'll shut up, because maybe we can get a couple more questions in. But because I have a unique perspective as an attorney for Ahmaud Arbery family and an attorney for Breonna Taylor's family, Judge Denise, I have never in my life seen such a vivid distinction of self-defense in Black and white as I have seen in those 2 cases. I mean, think about Ahmaud Arbery. lynched in broad daylight, is captured on video. The lynch mob is there. And when the police confront them, they say it was self-defense. And the police take their word for it and allow them to go home and sleep peacefully in their beds for over 10 weeks. And it's not until we saw the video that they finally arrested them.
Right.
Now, just to pose that with what happened to Breonna Taylor, and this does get emotional. I have a daughter, and it really gets to you. Imagine your child, your daughter, in her bed, sleep at night between 12:40 and 1 a.m. in the morning. She's there in the sanctity of her own home. Her boyfriend, Kenny Walker, is there. They both asleep, and they hear something. They think that they're about to be burglarized. They think that this is a home invasion. And the police takes a battering ram and busts open their front door, never announcing themselves, never identifying themselves, and they're in plain clothes. Now, Kenny Walker and Breonna Taylor, none of them, either one of them have ever been arrested in their lives. No criminal history whatsoever. Kenny is a registered gun owner. Kenny, thinking that they're being victims of home invasion, does what I hope every Black man would do, what every man would do. He seeks to try to protect his castle, protect his woman, and protect their lives. President White, he gets his gun, he goes down the hall, and as they come through the front door, he shoots a warning shot. Mm-hmm. And after that, the police just unload. I mean, they unload 25 to 30 rounds. They shoot from the front door. They shoot from the side window. They shoot from the patio. I mean, they're shooting blindly from outside the house, inside the house. Robin, they shoot so recklessly that one of the bullets end up in the next door neighbor's 5-year-old son's bedroom, in his dresser. And tragically, Breonna, who is literally in her underwear, practically naked, topless, her body is ridiculed with 8 bullets. And you have to hear that 911 call from Kenny Walker. I mean, it's heartbreaking. We don't have video, but that 911 call, when that brother, who I believe is a hero, he's talking on 911 saying, somebody broke in our house, they shot my girlfriend. And he's saying, stay with me, Bree, stay with me. Don't close your eyes, Bree, just stay with me. And I mean, it's just heartbreaking. He's like, help us, please help us, and so forth. Then when the police confront him, he says, it was self-defense. We thought you all were burglars. The police arrest him, take him to jail, and charge him with attempted murder, where he could face life in prison. Now, if that's not self-defense in Black and white in America, I don't know what is.
Right, and I know, Ben, I know you have to go. I just want to have one more question from our parliamentarian, Delisha Coleman. I know you said you had another event, but Delisha, if you want to go ahead and ask the question that you have.
Yeah, and just, I'm sorry to intercept, but after that, I just have one concluding question, and we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Attorney Crump, for what you do and coming and being on this live with us, and so many to see this information and how we have a true fighter that's never giving up and giving us all hope that we can join that fight and make a difference. But on that point, what motivated you to write your book?
You know, I'll say it in short answer. Thank y'all. And y'all, please go order the book if you haven't ordered it, because I think it's an important conversation that we should have, not just with ourselves, but with our co-workers and our white brothers and sisters and everybody. What motivated me to write the book was, you know, you all know it, so I'm preaching to the choir, but the crux of the book is simply this. As bad as it is how they killed Trayvon Martin, as bad as it is how they kill Michael Brown and Ferguson, as bad as it is how they kill 12-year-old Tamir Rice in Cleveland, as bad as it is as they killed the Yana there in Detroit, Michigan, as bad as it is that they killed Sandra Bland, as bad as it is they killed Botham Jones in his own apartment, as bad as it is they killed Terrence Crutcher, who had his hands up on video in Oklahoma, as bad as it is how they killed Philando Castile in Minneapolis, as bad as it is how they killed Alton Sterling, as bad as it is how they killed Eric Gardner, as bad as it is how they killed Ahmaud Arbery, as bad as it is how they killed Breonna Taylor, as bad as it is how they killed George Floyd. I submit to you, Attorney DeLisa, it is far worse how they kill our people every day in every city, in every state, in every courtroom in America with these trumped up felony convictions. It's like they're killing us softly. Because many times when you get that brand as a convicted felon, your life has changed. Your life has changed. And so when I wrote the book is to say, they are killing us with the laws that are supposed to protect us. They're using them to kill us. And we make the analogies of how they use the intellectual justification of discrimination on a regular basis. And it is a form of legalized genocide. I mean, they are killing our spirits on a regular basis in this racist criminal justice system that are targeting our children. I mean, every day they are targeting our children. And so that is what motivated me to write the book.
Okay, and then I think we have Madam President has a final question.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you so much for just coming into this meeting. This is part of the reason why we have Black women lawyers, because we really need to come together on these issues. And as you, of course, we have been following you because you've been an excellent torchbearer for this issue. Now, as you have mentioned, you see how there's been an overlap of a lot of support from the majority in terms of protesting, showing that they saw what was done to George Floyd was clearly out of bounds, was completely not right. Now, even though we see this, we see years of protesting, we see years of pushing for some type of equality, some type of justice to our people. What do you think we as attorneys or even the community can do to advance the cause of justice? Given the fact that we have a plethora of defense attorneys that practice criminal defense work in Michigan on the Zoom call, and we specifically are here, most of us are here to protect our brothers. We're in court making sure our brothers and sisters aren't put in jail, aren't stuck in with guidelines that throw them in prison, that a lot of attorneys will just not even try to work out cases. So what do you think, over and above this protesting that clearly is going to start sliding down to dissemination of nothing, what do you think we can do to help advance the cause of justice, to really put something in place for us?
Well, that's an excellent question. And before I answer, I have to say this, and Jess, I sure hope one day I can get my background to look as good as Judge Denise Langford Morris' background.
Me too.
She always cutting edge. Madam President, the thing we can all do immediately is, what's going to happen in Washington. We can try to make change, but we don't have as much direct control over that. But what we do have control over is, Robin, what they're doing in Minneapolis, how they have elected those leaders to have control of that city council and that mayor who elects the police chief and dictate how that police department is going to be run from now on. We have control, like in Georgia, Kim, with Ahmaud Arbery. For the first time in history, the Georgia House and Senate passed the hate crime law because we demanded it. We went out there, the lawyers educated, engaged people, and empowered people, just like we're trying to do in Flint, Robin. We're trying to educate, engage, and empower people. We can do that locally, and that battle is outside of the courtroom because we have to fight two battles, in the court of public opinion and in the court of law. And so we can't just say in the courtroom that's enough. We got to go down there with our NAACP, with our fraternities and sororities, Urban League, everybody to City Hall and challenge these district attorneys and get the statistics and say, you know, y'all disproportionately direct filing young Black people as adults. We want to speak to that. And we want to then educate all our churches and everybody to get that person out of office. I've seen it happen in Ferguson after Michael Brown, where they elected a Black DA. They did it in Orlando, Florida, after Trayvon. They did it, they got rid of the DA in Cleveland after he didn't do it with Tamir Rice. So our people just got to be educated. The young people want to do it. They want guidance. And we got to be courageous. I mean, we got to be convicted because our children matter. I'll say this in conclusion, then I have to jump off. And I thank you so much, Madam President, and to Robin, all y'all leadership, Kim, everybody. I'm from the bottom of my heart, Judge. I'm so grateful to be with you all today. I say this in conclusion. Martin Luther King said that the coward asked the question, is it safe? He said political expediency, asked the question, is it politically correct? He said, oh, vanity. Attorney Simmons comes along and asks the question, is it popular? And then Judge Denise, he said, conscience comes along and asks the question, is it right? And Madam President, Dr. King concluded there comes a time when one must take a position that's neither popular nor politically correct or not even safe, Miss Viola, but one must take a position because their conscience tells them it is the right thing to do. And I submit to you, Black women, Black attorneys of Michigan, it is the right thing to do to stand up for our children, to speak up for our children, and to fight for our children, because these are our children. And if we don't fight for our children, ain't nobody else gonna fight for our children. And so that is our charge. We got to fight for our people, the Pam Turners of the world, the Breonna Taylor, the marginalized, what my grandma called the least of these. We got to fight for them because that somebody fought for us.
Right.
I don't want us to be too high-minded that we forgot our grandmothers and grandfathers sacrificed so much for us to have these fancy law degrees and these fancy jobs. What are we willing to fight for? What are we willing to sacrifice? So it may be inconvenient to go down to City Hall, but you got to be like those soccer moms. They show up no matter what on their issue. I love that after Stephon Clark was killed in Sacramento, the young people showed up every week. They said, we ain't doing no other business until we talk about why y'all keep killing Black people. And they shut it down. We got to have that same conviction too, where we showing up every week at the city council meeting so they know we really care when we say, and we really mean it when we say Black Lives Matter.
Thank you so much, Attorney Crump, for joining us. Thank you for the updates and thank you for the call to action. We definitely appreciate your time. Want to encourage everyone to get this fantastic book,
Get the book.
Open Season, Legalized Genocide of Colored People.
Good reading while you're in the quarantine.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
We're encouraging more of us to join the NBA, and Ben, we as I said from day one when I met you, we've been praying for you. We just keep, just let us know what we can do to support you here in Michigan, and just keep the fight going, and keep doing what you're doing, and God bless you, and good luck with everything that you're doing.
Okay, and we're all in this struggle together, y'all.
Yes.
God bless you, Robin.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So everyone, that concludes our presentation. We thank everyone for joining, and we hope this was beneficial and very inspiring for everyone. Take care, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.